Hey everybody, welcome back to the airing of Grievances with Robert Grieve. Our friend Danny Gredinberg is here with us today, and of course I'm Eric Reamer, your host. It's super great to have you along. If this is your first time with us, welcome. We're super thankful that you have taken the time to join us, and if you are a regular, well, we say thank you and encourage all of you to go ahead and hit the like button, the thumbs up button if you would, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way, every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. in the Mountain Standard Time, you will get notified that we're going live, and we'd love to have you join us. The only other thing that we can ask you to do is share this message. This is not an insider piece. This is for you and your family members and your friends. So share this information if you would, please. Just copy the link and paste it out to your social media, and we'd be thankful for that as well. All right, Rob. Today we're going to talk about something that is kind of cool. It's kind of behind the scenes. And can I call you the Wizard of Oz?
No. I'm not Oz.
You're not Oz?
No, Danny's Oz.
Danny is Oz.
He's the guy. He's the guy.
All right.
But today I think we'll talk about estimates, right?
Estimates. Now that's the thing that happens after you're in an accident. You call your insurance company and they provide you with an estimate. They come out and look at your car.
Or photos. They ask you to
send the photos in through their apps or whatever. And then once you bring it to a body shop, the body shop also has an estimator who will come out and figure out what needs to be done. Is that what you're talking about?
Pretty much.
All right.
Pretty much. That's the way it goes. And Danny's here today because Danny is the expert on estimates.
Yeah.
And Danny's job entails having to understand the three major databases that insurers and body shops use for writing estimates. And you can go to a body shop and get an estimate, and it's done in Autotext, which is one of them. And the insurance company writes in a different one, CCC, or both might be writing in the same one, which makes it a little easier for everybody, including you. But it's important that you understand what this document is and all the different things that are contained within it, in addition to just the actual estimate and the bottom line number on there. There's a whole lot of information that's there, and it's your car, and you've entrusted it to a body shop and possibly an insurer to make the decisions on your behalf. You have the ability to know if these are good or bad decisions based on this document, which you should always get an updated version if an updated version becomes available. So,
and let me just jump in here. When you say if an updated version of your estimate becomes available, that's a regular occurrence, right? Because there's a conversation between the insurer and the body shop.
Yes.
Back and forth several times, usually, to get to a final agreement on what the repair plan should be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and other things are going to be found along the way, and it could be as simple as part price increases and so on and so forth. Very rarely does the estimate stay the same. It's kind of a living document.
All right. With that being said, gentlemen, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome.
And Danny, let's welcome you officially. Rob, carry it on. Let's see what we got.
All right. So, again, this document, and we have an example here, which I'm sure Eric will throw some stuff up on the screen for you. But it kind of outlines the options your vehicle has, your VIN number, vehicle identification number, what kind of car, your own information, and what the insurance company is assessing as the damage based on either them looking at it physically or through an app or through you sending them pictures some way, which I think is a bad practice.
The sending of the pictures?
Yeah, it should be. You can't see in pictures what you can see in real life. It's that beautiful sunset you take a picture of, and then when you look at the picture, it's not as beautiful as the sunset you saw.
Well, that's a great illustration. Absolutely.
It really needs to be hands-on. And there's a lot of lot of nuances to this estimate document, and I just want to turn over to you for a second, Danny, and give some first thoughts for a guest. If they're they have this thing, what should they do with it? Just flip to in this case, the third page, and see that it's $1,100 and $500 deductible. That's all they need to know.
Well, no, I mean, there's more to it than that. And I think before the vehicle ever arrives to a facility, if no one's actually looking at the car, it's more than just an estimate. It's actually a guesstimate at that point.
Yeah,
so
I would agree.
I think they're only guessing at that point what the car may need to get fixed. And in our industry, we have 3 different estimating systems available, and some might be used by a body shop or a collision center, and an insurance company might use a different program. And it's not that they're different from each other, but they may have different logic and things like that. So regardless of this document, this is just an initial document that just states that the vehicle has damage that the carrier or the bill payer may just be acknowledging, so that way they can start the claim process and reserving funds for that vehicle repair.
That's why usually a first one is called estimate of record. It's just a starting spot.
It's a starting point. And as a consumer, if you receive one of these documents, not every body shops may they may not be using the same estimate, so they have to then use a different program, which is all accepted in the trade. Mm-hmm. It's widely all 3 systems are all commonly and widely accepted in the trade, but they each have a different logic of the parts, labor, the allocation, what type of parts are quickly available in the system to select. It could be something that it may require more work that the shop or the estimate writer may need to call the dealership and verify the certain part numbers, and because of options on the car, because these cars are built with so many options. It's just a starting point. And once the shop gets a hold of this estimate, they need to then perform a supplement, which is pretty much the actual damage on the vehicle in relative to what the initial guesstimate was.
Right. Now they may be, because they may be using a different system, they're going to run their supplement up there in their system, and now the insurance company has to kind of translate that into their system.
Correct.
And then send it back down, and they don't always like each other that much. They don't mesh.
Right.
Because they look at things differently.
Right. It's a different logic, and it's like comparing 3 different car manufacturers. They're each going to have
similar things.
Similar things. They're going to have doors. They're going to have wheels, and they're going to have some kind of drive system on the car. And just like an estimating system, it's going to utilize a computer of some sort. It's going to require some kind of parts database. But all 3 different companies, when they perform their labor time studies, they each do it on their own individual merits.
Yes.
And while we don't have a way of seeing how they each conduct these time studies, of performing labor, they're each going to come up with something to work on the vehicle that's accepted by the industry. Now, there's going to be times where you're going to have differences, because said body shop is going to use one program, and your insurance or bill payer may use a different program. So how do we get those 2 to work together? We have to understand and accept the fact that they will never work together.
Right.
You have to utilize the program that you're using to the way it's designed and built to come up with a total at the end of the repair plan that works for the vehicle owner, the body shop, and ultimately the bill payer as well.
Right.
So that way you get a workable number. But if you start, using the estimate system and deviating from the logic of the estimating system, you start, not including operations that the system was designed not to factor, and you have to manually account for those, you're going to come up with a number that's different.
You used a phrase there that I want to just circle back on, if you don't mind. You said deviating from the logic. Now,
you say deviation.
You're right.
I say manipulation.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to jump on that, because let's say, for just an example, that the estimate of record comes out, and then the supplement goes up, and then the insurer is going to do one of these deviations that you're talking about, right? Which basically says I'm going to not recognize some of the logic in the system, as I understood what you just said.
Right.
If an insurance company deviates,
Manipulates.
from the system's logic, which is agreed to by the industry, does that make the insurance company a manipulative deviant?
You know,
I'm not a lawyer, so I can't answer that question.
it's a
I'm
hard
just
one.
asking the question. There's no accusation, just asking.
But there is good news.
Yes.
And Danny, maybe you can, this is really where I want you to kick in here. You as the consumer can tell if there's been any deviation or manipulation. And for me, the difference is manipulation's intentional. And it happens.
You know, the systems do allow, you know, changes to be made, you know, overridden, and, you know, and that creates a friction, you know, in having a conversation, is when you start changing things the way that the system was designed, because you're making the system think outside of the way it's intended to be used, and at the end of the day, now you're coming up with two different numbers, which ultimately could be achieved by recognizing these lines,
Sure.
and recognizing the fact that the system may not account for a certain step of a required procedure. It may not account for certain procedures. So if you don't consider those, that the system is recognizing as a non-included operation, as we say in our business, or, you know, we can, you know, we're going to come up with different numbers. But if we start recognizing and using the manuals that the systems have available, which is facing everyone. I mean, it's not like some hidden document. I mean, these are available.
Everybody has access.
Access to these documents to really see how the program was built and designed. You can then have a conversation and show that this program may not be factoring a labor operation. So let's add it onto the repair plan, and then that way we get a total that works for everyone.
Okay.
But if you don't add those on there, you are now, again.
And if you said something, Rob, you said that there is a way to know, for the public, to know if one or more of the line items on your repair plan have been manipulated or deviated from. How do we know?
Okay, well, I'm going to have you look at this estimate. It's only 20 lines.
Okay.
Which is rare, but
On today's cars, yeah. I mean,
it's rare. And there's some interesting items on here that we need to call out. But, I mean, I can go immediately to this thing and know what they've manipulated, good or bad, rarely good, because they're underlined.
Right.
Is that one of the telltale signs?
So you might
that
say
they've changed or manipulated or deviated from the system?
Yep.
Or maybe the system doesn't have a time. You know,
Right.
they have to repair a lift gate. The system isn't going to know what repair time it's going to
Correct.
need. So they have to put, you know, what they feel the repair time is going to
Correct.
be. This case, it's 5 hours. And the 5 hours is underlined
right,
because the system wouldn't know what to put in there.
right.
But there's other items like nameplates that they've changed the time on that's associated with that from the system time. And
I'm just going to take a quick guess here, Rob. I don't think the insurance company who's ultimately going to pay for this, I don't think they or ever manipulate the time to give more time paid, right? It's usually the opposite, right? To pay less. Mm-hmm. Okay, I just want to clarify that.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I mean, but there's all these other little things along the side on this side. It's only 20 lines. What are we seeing here?
I mean, you're gonna see a bunch of symbols, and these symbols, you know, ultimately code explain something, and
They're there for a reason.
they're there for a reason. So if you just look at this estimate, you know, or repair plan, and you see these symbols, again, for the first 3 pages, you're not going to see a reason what these symbols represent. So that's why it's really important to go to pages, you know, 3, 4, 5, or go to those pages beyond the gross totals, because those are going to have a lot of your notes that may explain, what those symbols represent, where the changes were, or if something else may be factored into something that you should be considering. And for examples, we're going to see like an asterisk, a little star.
What is that? What does that mean?
So an asterisk.
By the way, I just want to point out in this particular estimate, it's 20 lines, right?
Yep.
Right.
And I would say there's some sort of a symbol on at least 50% of the lines,
I
Correct.
agree with that.
Correct.
which means there's and then there's 50% of the lines that don't have
Right.
anything.
Right.
Which means to me that, they just use whatever the system said.
And there's
Right.
multiple symbols. There's a hashtag, there's an asterisk, there's a double asterisk, there's the brackets.
Yep.
Okay, so what do these things mean?
So for example, like an asterisk may mean a judgment time was used.
In
And
other
I-
words, they had to decide.
They had to
how
decide-
much time to give.
Probably to repair something.
Okay.
To repair something. Sometimes those asterisks come up when a time is suggested by the estimating system, but then the user changes it and overrides it. And what that symbol does is acknowledges that there's been a change to that suggested time
I see.
in there. Another type of symbol is going to be like a pound sign. Mm-hmm. And a pound sign is going to be something that the system didn't have available in their database, and they manually had to put it in there and type it into the estimating system because the estimating system didn't have an operation available for that.
Gotcha.
Again, that's just a representing that someone manually entered something. And we see that happen even when items are known to be in the databases.
And they're not that hard to find.
They're not. They may or may not be hard to find, depending on which system. But because of the user, they may just find it easier just to type it in there and assume a labor operation instead of using the one that may be suggested by the estimating system.
Gotcha.
Right. Which screws with the logic.
Which ultimately screws the logic because the estimating system is built with many codes and formulas and data, and if you do one, it changes another.
Correct.
And that's the way that the industry adopted and accepted this. Now, if we're going to deviate from this standpoint, all we're doing is just changing the calculations of what ultimately is the repair plan, and which can change up or down.
Right. And this affects you.
And this affects you.
And in addition to these things, what type of parts are going to be put on your car is also called out in this section.
Yeah, there's a code A/M for aftermarket parts.
Right.
And if you want our opinion on aftermarket parts, you can check.
Plenty of ways to find them.
You can check the videos that we've made. I'll go ahead and post a link to that right up there, and we'll take a look.
So yeah, I mean, going back to the parts, it's really important as a consumer to know what these symbols and what these abbreviations represent, because don't always assume that that the estimate itself reflects everything based on the way your vehicle manufacturer designed and built your car, because these symbols and codes and acronyms and everything as a consumer can be really confusing. So
Yep.
it's really important, if you're seeing something on the estimate, and you need to go beyond the gross totals, because there's going to be a page that's going to explain all this stuff, on the system, and all these symbols and all these acronyms and the terms.
I'm looking at that page, and that's not even fine
There's
print,
more
but
information on that page than there is on the estimate page.
Right.
There's going to be things for the consumer as well. Their rights. Their what the state laws are regarding the claims practices. So it's really important to look beyond the gross totals page.
Yeah.
To really get a grasp of what the system is designed and how it's working.
And each system, these symbols could be different.
Correct.
So we write in Autotext, it's going to have symbols if we deviate from the estimating system, and those symbols could be the same symbols but a different meaning from a different system that would be used,
Right.
such as CCC or whatever.
Right.
Mitchell, an X on ours may mean this, and an X on theirs may mean something completely different. So you have to look at each document on its own merits.
Yeah.
And all these things are affecting you. They're not affecting us, the repairer. They're affecting you, the consumer. Because let's just say that you took this estimate and said, you know what, I'll fix this next year when my daughter comes home from college or something. And just cash the check, keep the money, and we'll figure that out later. Or maybe we're not going to fix it at all. and we just keep the money. This estimate, if it were, the insurance company is supposed to make you whole. This estimate of record probably does not do that.
That's a big thing. What you
So if you just cash a check and forget about it, they probably have not fully compensated you for the loss that you...
Let's park the car there for just a quick second, because I think that's something very important that most people don't understand. Here in Colorado, we have hail season, right? And, not every year, but many years, we have hail that will damage your vehicle, sometimes to the tune of thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. All right. Well, the insurance company will write an estimate of record, and as you suggested here, it is a common practice among many insurers to lowball that estimate.
To make it as small as possible.
Because they realize that many people will just cash the check
and not fix the car.
And then it's done, right? When in fact you are not receiving the total amount of the money that you probably owed because you never went through that back and forth with a trusted body shop who has your interest, not the saving of profits as the insurers do.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, an easy way to see that is, you just go to the body of the estimate where they're talking about the actual repair itself. If you see a whole bunch of hash marks and underlined stuff, and you know what?
They've marked it down.
Yeah, it's gone in the wrong direction for you. And, the most important thing for me today was to tell you that you should have this document. You should understand what it says. This document is a reflection of how your vehicle is going to get repaired. And there'll be one from you, there'll be one from the insurance carrier or bill payer, and you need to understand what's in both of them because that's how your vehicle is going to get repaired. And you want to make sure that it's getting repaired the way you want to have it repaired, the highest quality there is possible. And the way to do it is this. And there's several resources. If you ever have a question on an estimate that you're reading, you can send it over to us and we'll give you our 2 cents. Be happy to help out. So
I think it's really important to just know that if, when as a consumer, you're probably going to hear terms like, there's a system difference. That's,
as an excuse for why mine is less than yours. There's a system difference. But what if everybody writes in their different systems but use it fully? How much difference is there in the end?
At the end of the day, the goal is to get a workable number to repair that vehicle correctly and safely, following the manufacturer's recommended procedures. And the minute you deviate from that logic, you're going to separate the numbers.
Yeah, you're a manipulative deviant, not you. The people who deviate.
Yes.
So, at the end of the day, use the program the way it's intended, and you will come up with an estimate number that works for all parties involved, as long as you follow the logic and the systems, how it's designed and how it's intended to be used. And not, and like I said, not manipulate it or deviate from it. And again, all this information is available to the repair center. There's resources out there available to them to help them understand these things. And as a consumer, just know that there should be no system differences as long as you use the system the way it's intended to be used.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Well, thank you. If you've made it this far to watching the video this far into it, I want to say thank you for tuning in to the airing of grievances. Danny, thank you for being here. Rob, always your time is so valuable to each and every one of us here who watch this. If you haven't yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And we're grateful if you would click the like button, the thumbs up button. That helps the YouTube algorithm understand that there's some value to you, which then it will share with other people on YouTube who have not yet heard about this resource. And then the final thing that we ask is share it on your social medias. Literally just go up, click the link, copy it, and paste it into your social media and say, hey, everybody, take a look at this. It's important for everybody to understand. And to that end, gentlemen, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.